Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. We're going to talk about the homelessness in America that has gotten far worse than ever before. And there are places where the tent cities are just exploding. And you would be astonished. These people, some of them are not all unemployed, some of them are employed but just don't have the money to pay rent. Their job just don't pay them enough. So they are, although they're living in a car or out on the streets, they are still gainfully employed, just being underpaid like so many in America are. And so they can't come up with a security deposit, first month rent, last month, they just can't do it. The money is not there. And this is a huge thing in America where so many people are working. And that's the thing, the cost of living and the salaries just have not kept up. But we got to look at the history of these people that owns many of these businesses and corporations. They have a history of slavery. They want labor they don't want to pay for, or they want labor where they get to underpay you, and they don't have a reputation for paying good salaries and maintaining that. Now, a lot of these people started out having good salaries, but when all the inflation hit, even with the salaries they had, it was not enough to cover their expenses anymore. That's why you see so many videos of people saying, my husband has a great salary, I have this salary, and we still can't make it." Yes, because those salaries have not kept up with the inflation. A lot of people are in those situations today. But when you are dealing with the people that hate to pay what you're worth, this is the hand you're dealt, and they've always been like this all throughout history. There was not a time when they appropriately paid people based on inflation or how the economy was working. And as far as I'm concerned, there are some people that are overpaid, and there have always been people in this country that have been underpaid. So, will it get better? No, not as long as we're under these Gentiles. No, it will never get better. It will never improve. It will always be this way. So, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Please give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Thank you.
We are in Martinsburg,
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah.
So first of all, share with me what it's like to be homeless here. I'm from Portland, Oregon.
Well, here's a lot of resources. The churches take care of us. Mainly addiction. I've noticed. I've been to 48 states. It's pretty much the same everywhere I go. So for here, there's a lot more resources because in Parkersburg, you got churches, but no one's willing to help. I choose to be homeless because I want to work something for myself.
And what you're saying is because there's such an abundance of resources, this is what's attracting people to this community.
Exactly.
But
like
you see,
Hagerstown, Baltimore, New Jersey, New York, they're all coming here.
But that's a bad thing.
Yeah, the more crime's coming. That's why I'm trying to cut down that crime. I'm like one of your vigilantes. I just go around night and just be like, don't do that. Or I'm like, don't do that.
Well, you make a good point. Offering services is compassionate, but if it's too much, it becomes almost a dependency.
Exactly.
Martinsburg, West Virginia has one of the highest crime rates in the United States. It's considered one of the poorest towns in the United States, certainly in West Virginia. They also have a very high capita homeless rate. Now, every single homeless person I've spoken to the last couple of days,
Now, we know West Virginia is very white, right? Very white. But listen to what he said. He said they got one of the highest crime rates in the country. It's not a lot of us living in West Virginia, y'all. I'm just saying. Let's go on.
single one admits there are too many services here, and it attracts homeless from all other states. And they're frustrated because a lot of the homeless I spoke to are locals and said this is actually hurting us. And so, according to one homeless guy, there's 44 churches in this pretty small community that hands out stuff, multiple nonprofits, and just such an abundance of services. And apparently, word on the street is, with like a 200-mile radius, come to this town for services. And that is a problem. This is what there's that fine line you're never supposed to cross between being helpful and compassionate and being enabling, which then eventually leads to dependency.
Here in America, you can literally work a full-time job and then some and still be homeless. These jobs, the wages that these jobs offer, don't pay enough to afford rent. You're lucky if you can even afford to rent from somebody anymore. It's like if you want to have a car to drive to and from work, you also got to think about like the gas prices going up. In a lot of areas here in America, gas has reached over $4 a gallon. And then you got to think about like food expenses, toiletry expenses, and then the money to, afford rent. Or say you rent a room from somebody, even that's not really even cheap anymore. But just go get a better job, they say. Budget your money better, they say. Just pull yourself up by the bootstraps, they say. You cannot work your way out of corporate greed. You can't budget your way out of corporate greed. There's literally individuals out here making the most money that they've ever made in their life, and they're still struggling like hell to make ends meet. And I'm sick and tired of this stigma that people who don't want to participate in capitalism anymore just have a victim mentality, one that's necessarily not true. We're sick and tired of these low wages and the ungodly high cost of living. And honestly, it feels like it's the sanest response to quit participating in something that no longer serves you.
Okay, y'all, this is a tent city in the woods, and this is down south. And what struck me about this was how many elderly white people were back in this wooded area in tents. A lot of them were up in age. A time when you would think they would be retired and just living their lives. Well, many of them are homeless. You know, I have never lived close by a tent city, but I have been on the road and passed a tent city before. I have passed by them and seen people out in them, and these folks they like being in the wooded areas, and that's where this place is. All right. And yeah, there's no sound, so
I mean, look at all our stuff. It's everything we own. Everything we own. I feel miserable. I have pneumonia. I just got released from the hospital last night. I've been in there for 4 days. I was sicker than a dog before I went. I called the ambulance. They wouldn't take me in. I made my in-law take me 2 days later because I felt like I was dying, literally dying, and I had pneumonia caused from all of the freaking trying to clean this stuff up to get out of here fast enough. That made me sick. It made me sick fast. I just sent my girls to go stay somewhere else so I can freaking try to deal with this and not be upset in front of them. They said they're trying to work with me for housing. I haven't even seen anybody about nothing for housing today. Nobody showed up. Nobody. And now there's a trash service going behind all of this. They just took all the RVs and the cars. They took one of our cars. I couldn't find the key this morning when I went to move it. They took that too. It's like we don't have enough taken from us out here. If we had anything, we wouldn't be here. If we had options, we wouldn't be here. Nobody wants to be out here like this. Because of all the rats out here on the levee, my RV got infested with them. They chewed through all my water lines. They chewed through some of my electrical stuff. They chewed through my heater. So I had to move my kids into this little one temporarily so we could try to fix all the damages. And they didn't tag that one, but then they tagged my other one. I need to go lay down. I'm so sick. So sick. I've been out here all night trying to gather what I can so they won't take everything. Now I explain to my girls that everything's gone again.
America created a new housing class. They call it vehicular homelessness. Yeah, some people choose it, but a lot of people don't. Over 1 million Americans now live in their vehicles. And now, cities are passing laws making it a crime to sleep in the only thing you still own. They couldn't give you a home, but they'll fine you for living without one. We are watching a tier system form in real time. High tech for the wealthy, no rights for everyone else. The American dream wasn't lost, it was taken. The only way to win is to move.
I've been homeless for 7 months due to an illness, and I just have to bring it to everyone's attention that homeless people are everywhere. In America, it feels like this is something that we want to stuff down and hide from people and not talk about, like it's a sore subject or something, and like homeless people are invisible. But if you look and you pay attention, they're fucking everywhere. Behind the car wash, behind the building, behind the retail store, in the Planet Fitness parking lot. Homelessness is a huge problem that we don't talk about enough, and it's way more widespread than anybody knows. America has become unaffordable. The world, basic human living, basic human rights, basic human living has become unaffordable. You would never believe the amount of people that are living in their vehicles. The families that are crammed into their van or into a tiny little trailer altogether. The guy who came to detail my car started asking me, like, you take a lot of trips, don't you? I said, no, I was homeless. I lived in this car for 7 months. And he told me his life story and that he had been in the same situation. And now he's in a trailer. Now he's in a little trailer with his entire family, trying to make ends meet. Yesterday, I gave a microwave to a woman who said that she had just got done being homeless. Now she needed some appliances for her new place. Why aren't we talking about this? Why are we afraid to look at this? It's everywhere. Why are we doing nothing about it?
I'm from Africa. I never seen a homeless white person. Yeah, I'm shocked, man. Because in Africa, they tell us everything is in America. And then when we come here, yeah, it's just shocking. Nothing against you. It's just shocking to see me, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. All right. We got to go to 35th. Yeah.
Well, it's shocking for him, but it's not shocking for me. I've seen homeless white people my entire life, even when in childhood. I've always seen homeless white people. So, anyway, y'all, the situation is getting worse in America, and they're really trying to make it illegal to be homeless. At the same time, don't have anywhere to put these people. And as you know, Donald Trump wants to open up the insane asylums again. And I think that's where he want to stick these people, where they are permanently locked in, an asylum and never can get out at all, you know? And they can also try to use them as labor because, that's what this country is all about. If they can stick you in some kind of detention, because they're doing that to the detainees in ICE detention centers, they got to get up and work. They got to get up and work. And many of them are doing farming. And we always know in the prisons, they have the corporations and they're working for what, $1 a day, some ridiculous amount. That's what this country is about. That's what they're about. It's sad because depending on what part of the country, you see a lot of our people out there, especially in New York. And in New York, just so they don't have to sleep on the cold streets, many of our brothers and sisters will just ride the trains all night and just sleep on the trains because at least they got heat and it's lighting on the trains, and they'll just ride all night long just so they don't have to sleep on the cold concrete. And it's sad to see that. It is so sad to see that. But this is the state America is in. And never forget, this is under the leadership of these Gentiles. And if they're looking for help, they won't find help. They're not, the majority of these people are not going to be helped at all. They're going to have to figure out a way to help themselves as far as getting into housing. If not, they're pretty much stuck on these streets. They are stuck. But like I said, what was astonishing is how many of these people are homeless, but many of them have jobs. They just can't afford housing. But this is supposed to be the greatest nation in the world. This is what they claim. When you see this, it don't look so great. It don't look so great. Millions of homeless people out here on the streets. Millions of them. Yeah, well, the ones that were telling us to pull ourselves up by the bootstraps, they are the biggest ones that are homeless now. Just imagine that. Well, nobody should be homeless here. In all the time this place has been here, they should have had better plans on what to do with homeless people. And they don't do anything. When Gaddafi was alive, I was reading Libya did not have homeless people. If you were found on the streets and you had nowhere to go, they would give that person an apartment. They would be given an apartment just so they didn't have to be on the street, and they did not have to have the money for it either. It was just to make sure nobody was on the streets homeless. That's what that man did for his people. It was unbelievable. Yeah. If they didn't have internet, they would even give them the internet for free. But according to the government here, he was a horrible person and they needed to get rid of him. He did right by his people. They will never do right by the people here. They will never do right. The way I see it, y'all, Esau is a lost cause. He is never going to change. He is never, ever going to change. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. And we're going to do this all over again tomorrow. I'm looking at a few different stories that I think I will do for tomorrow. So, y'all, enjoy the rest of your evening and don't forget to pick up your hair products. Shalom, family.